Here we go. We're going to simplify rational expressions and determine excluded values. And in this one in particular, we have a binomial that is written in the wrong order. So when we think about polynomials, we need to think of them in terms of the values or the variables being written in decreasing order. So for example, we can think of it as ax squared plus bx plus c, where the constant is last. And so what you'll notice here is the constant is not last. So we need to rewrite this. And we're going to rewrite it in just a different order. So I'm going to say, okay, well, it's negative b plus 3. That's all I did was organize it differently. And then the 2b minus 6 stays exactly the same. So now when we factor this one's easy. It's not a quadratic. I don't need to go to the area model. I just need to look for something that they have in common. So you'll notice out of this bottom in the numerator or the denominator right there, you'll notice that it's 2b minus 6. The greatest common factor is 2. They're both divisible by 2. So I'm going to write 2 parentheses b minus 3. Now this one is tricky in the sense that they don't look like they have a common factor other than 1. But when we see that negative leading, I'm going to factor out that negative. So I'm going to take -1. I'm going to divide out a -1. And when I do that, and we divide out by the -1 right there, it will leave me with b minus 3. Now notice it. We have two values that are exactly the same, b minus 3 and b minus 3. Okay, and we can also determine the excluded value. Okay, the excluded value is what we cannot divide by, which by the way is 0, right? We cannot divide by 0. So the excluded value is the value that we put in here that will make it 0. So b minus 3, what minus 3 will make a 0? B minus 3 equals 0. That means b cannot be 3. So we do not want b to be 3 because it will make this into a 0. Okay, let's go ahead and factor this another way just to verify we can do it correct. When I factor this, I like to go ahead and say, okay, negative, I could say 3 minus b, or 3 minus x, I'm sorry. And I'm going to look for the x-intercept, which is 3. Now notice this, the x-intercept is 3. We write it as x minus 3, or in this case, b minus 3. And then we have a leading coefficient, which is negative. So that's what's happening there. We've just factored it by Desmos. I can also factor the other one by Desmos by just typing in 2x minus 6. Oops. 2x minus 6, finding the x-intercept, which is 3. And then from there, I can write, okay, well, this is x minus 3. And then we have an a value or a leading coefficient. And I'm going to write the 2 there in front. And that is how I've now just factored it with Desmos. We could do it that way as well. Okay, now that we've got it fully factored by hand and by Desmos, depending on how you choose, okay, I'm going to go ahead and start looking for values that are exactly the same. So in this case, we have a b minus 3 that is exactly the same as b minus 3. So we cancel them out and we get -1 over 2 right there. And that's left over. And so we get -1/2. So let's check our work. We know it is, our answer is going to be -1 divided by 2 or -0.5. So this is how we check our work with that one. I'm going to come back to Desmos. I'm going to turn on the original equation. Boom, there it is. I'm going to zoom in, look for it. And once I look for it, I'm going to click on it and check out. The y value is -1/2. Okay, let's go to our answer. In this case, I'll just type in y equals -1/2. Guess what? They overlap each other. And when they overlap each other, that tells us that they are correct and they are exactly the same. Let me demonstrate one other thing. We said that we had an excluded value at 3. It could not be our answer. We can check that. If I go along all the way and I start tracing it until I get to 3, you're going to notice it is undefined. And that means that is an excluded value in our graph. Hope that helps you out with simplifying rational functions, finding some excluded values, and how do we factor with Desmos? How do we factor by hand?